You don't need to make large upfront inventory investment. You don't need to pay tens of thousands of pounds for a container worth of product from China that may arrive and be of questionable quality and actually not be saleable.
So Lewis, say somebody does decide to go down this route and they decide to invest this lump sum of cash into growing and building a high-ticket dropshipping business. What are the key steps for them to know so that they can launch their online business successfully?
Yeah, so there are some key steps, and the order and the sequence of steps is essential in getting this right. So it's a bit like building a house. You don't just start with the roof, and then try and factor everything in underneath later. We're starting with the foundations, right? We're setting up the right company structure from day one. We're setting up the bank accounts so that at the end of the first week of our program of working with us directly, you'll have the infrastructure, you'll have the foundations in place to set you up for success in the long run. Then in week 2, we'd conduct market research. So the idea of week 2 is we're identifying a profitable market or a list of profitable industries, niches, and we have about 9 different data-driven criteria in week 2 of our Dropship Unlocked Mentorship program. So it's all data-backed. It's not based on gut instinct or feeling, or do you think this niche would work? How do you feel about this niche? It's not feeling-based. It's very much numbers-based, data-based. You can then overlay your feelings on the numbers after and say, right, well, I've got 6 contenders here for niches that I know would work based on the data. Which one do I want to build a business around? There's no problem with that, but the problem is when people start with emotion and not data. So we overcome that in week 2 so that by the end of week 2, you have been guided through our years of experiences and mistakes and navigated along a path to being in an industry that you've decided meets all of the 9 criteria of our data and our criteria that we look at for selecting a market, so that you're confident in your selection before we even move ahead and start building the business. Then the next part is actually setting up your store. So in week 3, we guide you through step-by-step over-the-shoulder tutorials. So it's like you're just sitting at the desk next to us watching every single click of the mouse, so that by the end of week 3, you have your store built, it's up and running, everything's looking professionally branded, it appeals to suppliers, it appeals to customers, so that in week 4, you can then work with this and we give you the supplier scripts, we give you the contact scripts, the email scripts, what we say to suppliers, how we structure the contracts, all of that stuff, so that you then know how to sign those suppliers, what to say to them. And once you've signed them at the end of week 4, you're ready to start running traffic to your store. And remember, these are suppliers who can offer fast next day delivery of in-demand products to your customers in the UK. So then week 5, we've got to start getting some traffic. So that's where we then show you how we use things like Google ads and Facebook and Instagram ads to really remarket to people, so that by the end of that week 5, you've got traffic coming to your store that's of high quality that you can profitably convert into paying customers and continue to do so, because that's the secret to scaling. You've got customers purchasing from your store at this stage, whether you're asleep at the time or on a plane or out for a walk. You've got customers coming to your website now and purchasing. And then in week 6, it's all about putting systems in place. So ensuring that you're not the one that then has to deal with all of the admin that comes out of that. So making sure that we've got a virtual assistant hired. So we give you our job hire template, we give you the job spec, we show you exactly how we structure the projects, the SOPs, the systems, all of the tracking stuff, so that you can sit back and at the end of week 6, you can really let the business start to run itself, and you can kind of just relax and enjoy the lifestyle that it's provided you, or you can choose to get involved and optimize it, tweak it, and make it better, more profitable, So this is the way we do it. But alongside the actual step-by-step training part, probably the most important part of what we do and what working with us entails is the community we have. It's the community of hundreds of like-minded entrepreneurs in e-commerce who are all on the same journey. Many of them actually much further ahead than you, so they've often made the mistakes or have had the questions that you now have, and they're just there to help. They're there to learn from, to network with, to make friends with, and we even have 2 live Q&A coaching calls per week where you can ask us questions directly, not just over chat, but actually on Zoom, unmuted, twice a week. Ask any questions you have, because that's what you need, I think, when you start a business. You can't just expect to, type in a few questions and have them answered and then be like, okay, great, I've got a business. You're going to have questions. There are going to be road bumps along the way. So I think it's the key part that most online courses miss and where they fall down on. But with ours, because it's mentorship, it's step by step, it's, us holding your hand to get the business up and running. It's the mentorship, it's the community that I wish I'd had that's specific to the UK that would have helped so much when I was starting out. So in a nutshell, that's what we do to get the business up and running.
And the community point is so huge. I can speak. The Dropship Unlocked community that we've built is an absolute pleasure to be a part of. And anyone that listens, I know that some members listen to the podcast, so they'll know what I'm talking about. It is such a friendly, helpful community. And if you decide to go into business with this lump sum of cash you've got, you'll have questions. If it's new to you especially, you'll need people around you that are going to support you the whole way. And by having a community and some mentors within that community around you, it's really going to push you along and take you a long way in your business journey. So I know a big reason for people that start dropshipping is actually the low risk element of it and the fact that we can start with low upfront cost. So would you say that dropshipping is one of the lowest risk businesses to start out there?
Certainly, yeah. Specifically within the e-commerce sector as well, I think the concept of high ticket dropshipping is nice because you don't need to make large upfront inventory investment. You don't need to pay tens of thousands of pounds for a container worth of product from China that may arrive and be of questionable quality and actually not be saleable, and so therefore what do you do with it? You have to throw it away. We're not taking that risk because anything that we have to buy from a supplier has already been sold in our store and we're using the customer's funds to then purchase the item. So huge retailers like Wayfair, like Argos, like Tesco, like Homebase, like they do this every day. So it's nothing new. It's just a fulfillment model that in recent times people found out about and started trying to do the model from China. But this direct to consumer fulfillment is not a new concept. It's been around since prior to the internet even existing. But the nice thing is that in terms of the risk, it really lowers the runway that's required, right? It lowers the buffer amount that you have. So if you have just a few £1,000s, you can invest into starting a business like this, and then you're completely location independent. So you could go and live like I did in somewhere like Chiang Mai in a really location independent city that allows you to be a digital nomad and to have a very high quality of life for a very low cost of living and do that. Equally, you could just work from home, and be able to spend time with your families or work from a co-working space. But the nice thing is you're only buying those products once the item has already been sold. So you're not using your own cash to do this. It reminds me of a lady that came to us the other day, actually, looking to join Dropship Unlocked. And she said that she had just over the last year had made the mistake of trying to launch a brand. I think it was in the fashion industry. And she'd spent £70,000 of her and her partner's money on products that they, and like business setup costs that they hoped would sell. And they tried everything. They threw all the different ads at it. They tried SEO. They tried the different platforms and they couldn't get it to work. And they were just like, what's going on? And I think they kind of came to that realization eventually that, you can't force unpopular products on a market. It doesn't matter how much you throw into the products and how, like, if they're not in demand, if they're not what the market wants, it's going to be an uphill battle. And so the whole thing kind of crumbled. She'd taken this huge risk, and it's horrible to hear. But I think that with the home turf advantage model, you would have avoided those things, both of those things, because firstly, you'd only be selling proven in-demand products anyway, but you'd also never pay for them until the customers had already paid you. So it really does mitigate that risk on both fronts. So yeah, much lower risk business model than even most e-commerce types of business models.